Yeah. Welcome to Ride Along Live for today. It's Wednesday. Yeah, man. Wednesday on the ride. How you guys doing? As you guys come and go ahead and shove the ting. Jennifer James, how you doing? Lacey, Rhonda, Dominica in the house. How you guys doing? My Dominica and Passy. Friends and family out there in Dominica. Big up all yourself. Guys, hello Teresa. Grenade, how you doing? Thank you for locking it down. We appreciate you so much. All right, guys, as you come and go ahead and shove the program right now. Because we got a lot to talk about today. Today we have President of the PWU, Brian Grimes, is in studio with us. We're going to be chatting with him about so many things to discuss. Yeah. Yeah, a lot to discuss. Listen, guys, this is what we're going to do, right? Since I started the program a little bit earlier, at least 2 minutes earlier, I want to take this opportunity to make sure that I big up all our viewers. So let's do a roll call, guys. Let's do a roll call really quickly, because I want to know where you guys are watching it from, where you lock on from, where you day, where you ease, where the vibe day. Yeah, where you day, what going on your side. So put up your flag, guys. Colleen, how you doing? Put up your flag. Put up your flag. I want to see your flag. I want you to put up your flag. Roll call time. Roll call. Hey, wow. How you doing? All right. I see United States. The folks in the United States, big up all yourself. Good evening to you. The folks on YouTube, big up yourself for YouTube, the YouTube family. Guys, you know there's a whole world of riders on YouTube, right? You guys could join us over there anytime. Hey, the folks in Canada, big up the Canada posse, the Canada crew, the click from Canada. Big up all yourself. London, how you doing? England, how you doing? Grenada, Francis, a lot. How you doing, Francis? Thank you so much. We appreciate you. We appreciate everybody. Good evening from New York City. Good evening to you. Thank you. Canada, Grenada, Canada, Barbados, St. Thomas, Brooklyn. Wait, somebody put that they watching us live from the grave. Ukraine, big up Ukraine. Folks in Ukraine, thank you so much. Watching from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Thank you so much, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Manhattan, Times Square. I got to big up and also say a special thank you to everyone that's driving home from work right now. Now, yesterday, we were not live on the program, right? We were not live on the program. And I never knew that so many people watch this program while driving home. So a lot of people was very upset because they say that they commute to their house was very boring because Ride Along was not on yesterday. Jamaica, big up yourself. So guys, thank you so much. The folks that's watching us from the cars right now. Everyone that's watching us on the big screen TV as well. Thank you so much. Guys, let's jump in. And remember, New Jersey, big up yourself. I'll big up everybody else later on in the program. Harlem, I see you. Boston, I see you. New Jersey, I see you as well. Grenada. All right. So Brian Grimes is the president of, they could say newly minted. It wasn't that long. It didn't seem like it was that long ago that he was elected as president of the PWU. There have been so many things that happened from election to now. There are so many things that need to be discussed. And he's here to address them all. Now, we're in silly season. And by that term, you know that, it's election time. So everything that you say in this particular season is deemed as very politicized, and everybody taking their side, and everybody just gravitating to their following, and because of that, everything has become politicized. So Brian Grimes is here with us to chat on a range of issues affecting PWU, the workers here in Grenada, and in the whole Caribbean by extension. Mr. Brian Grimes, my friend, how you doing, sir?
Good day to you, Junior, and to all your listeners and viewers across, can't just say the Caribbean, because I hear you talking about Ukraine, all these other European countries, so your viewership is quite wide, so congratulations on that. I'm happy to be here to have a little talk with you.
Absolutely, Brian. We're happy to have you on. We love to engage people. In your position, because you give us an insight as to what's happening from your perspective. So we're always happy to have conversation with you. And as you know as well, we have an open door policy. So we love conversations with who may be in support and who may not be in support. And so today, it's your time. You're in the hot seat. So Brian, how you doing? How things going? How things by?
Yeah, well, I'm in the land of the living, so I feel blessed. I feel blessed all around. Our organization, the PW, we have some challenges, but that is what life is about. And my job as president is to help lead my organization along with the members of my team to a place where workers can get the best representation possible and the best, economic and working conditions for them. So that's what it's about. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be alive.
Yeah, man. You mentioned challenges. What are some of the current challenges affecting the workers? First of all, what sector of workers does the PW represent?
Yeah, well, we are GPW. That is an acronym. It's short for Grenada Public Workers Union. So primarily, we represent public officers. So what do you think about when you think about public officers? You think about nurses. You think about custom officers. You think about inland revenue officers. You think any public service you want to access in Grenada, the ministries, whether it's a financial complex, the ministerial complex, we have workers representing in those areas, right? We represent people in agricultural station, Maribo Agricultural Station. We also represent statutory body, or what is known as state-owned enterprises, and some of them are NAWASA, that's a water company, TAMCC, Grenada Bureau of Standards, Grenada Housing Authority, GIDC, Grenada Investment Development Corporation. So we have a very, very wide and diverse clientele. Yes? So we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, very, very diverse. So what are some of the challenges at this moment affecting the workers on the ground in Grenada?
Well, the challenges are numerous. Where should I start? The primary thing right now, as far as our organization is concerned, is dealing with the pension issue. This is an age-old issue that has caused a number of our members to retire in poverty, die without receiving proper remuneration, and it's causing general sadness throughout the public service. And so this is one of the primary things that we are dealing with right now. We were fortunate and blessed that the court took a justified position to basically restore pension on March 29th, which just happened to be our annual general meeting. Yeah, and after that, we have had a little bit of, I should say, hurdles in terms of realizing the court judgment. Particularly because this administration, the new National Party administration, have basically refused to start payment and have placed some hurdles at the foot of the union and basically the workers in terms of getting honoring that court decision. So this is where we are right now. Apart from that, I know you have heard us on different mediums speaking about the issues with contract work, different issues with occupational health and safety where workers operate in dangerous environments and we have to step in. So the list goes on.
Right. I want to talk about the pension issue, but I think the pension issue is like a whole segment all by itself, because we've been hearing some, talk in the media, on platforms, political platforms, as it relates to the pension. But we're going to get to that. But as it relates to the contract workers, I want you to differentiate so we can have an idea. What is the difference between the contract workers on the island and the permanent workers? And what is the benefit of having contract workers? What is the benefit for the government to have contract workers versus permanent workers?
Yeah, well, you would have heard over the last few months, in fact, the last few years, our organization railing against contract work. We are not saying that contract work is illegal per se, because our labor code specifies that there are 3 different types of contracts. Contracts for a specific period. Let's say you have a 2-year contract, a contract for a specific task. Let's say you have to build up a back wall or do something like that. And a contract for an unspecified period of time. So 3 different types of contracts. Traditionally, our public service was made up of permanent workers under the Public Service Commission. And those workers had many benefits, including pensionable benefits, and the ability now to go to the bank with a level of confidence in that they had secure tenure to get loans and so forth. But for whatever reason, I would say this administration, and based on my research, the people have told me, senior people within the trade union movement have told me that the onset or the prevalence of contract work came about in 1995, they say, under the NNP administration. This is what was told to me. But from what I have seen, because I've been in the public service for 22 years, I've seen it growing exponentially over the last 5 or 6 years. Everything is contract. So they had something in 2013 called what we would say a structural adjustment program. And with that structural adjustment program came an attrition policy, meaning that every 10 person who retires from the public service, the government only takes in 3. And yes, we understand what they are trying to do in keeping the wage bill at a certain level. But with that, they are not bringing in people on permanent tenure. They are bringing them in on contract. And you know what happens to our citizens when you go to the bank with a 2-year contract. First of all, the wages in Grenada are not high at all. They are very small compared to other parts of the region. And then you compound that with the fact that listen, you only have 1 year, 2-year contracts. Now, what I'm seeing happening here, Junior, is something so destructive to Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. So they are graduating to more and more regressive type of contracts in this country. So before they put you on a regular contract for 2 years, which we do not praise that. We do not think that is good, because we believe in permanent work, right? The labor code speaks to once you work for a specific time and show that your task is important to whatever establishment that you are part of, you're a permanent worker. So the 2-year contracts, we are not in love with it. But it has gone from that to an even worse situation where they have a new type of contract called contract for service, right? And that contract for service, they're not taking all the union dues to give to our organization to sustain the trade union. As you would appreciate, you're a connoisseur of history in this country. The trade union movement was really elevated and bigged up, for that lack of a better term, during the period of the revolution, right? So within the labor code, the PRG government, they instituted a law which exists today, where it's mandatory to pay union dues to our organization. The government has started to break that law shamelessly by putting people on contract in the public service, telling them no union dues. So they get no representation. So they have no protection from the union. In addition to that, Junior, they are not remitting the NIS which is 11% at this point in time, where the government has to, not the arrangement, the legal arrangement is for the government to pay 6% and the worker to pay 5%. They are telling workers, you pay your 11% for yourself. Imagine a worker with a low salary.
Right.
Would that person have the discipline to go and remit 11% to the NIS on their own? More than likely not, particularly if it's a young worker. So this has been very, very destructive to the national insurance scheme, which is struggling at this point in time, based on my understanding of actuarial reports. They are struggling to collect revenue, right? Recently, something happened that was extremely troubling to our organization, because the moves by this current administration, the government, is getting more and more blatant and flagrant regarding our workers. An ambulance driver called the union and said to our secretariat, he spoke to me also. The NIS just called and they said to me, you are in arrears for the last 5 months or so. And this person was taken aback. So at this present time, the government and officials of the government, they have instructed people, and they do not even have the decency to inform, or we are changing the terms of engagement, or even to consult with the union, which you are the legal bargaining agent. So those people know you fall sick, you have no benefits to get. Imagine you no maternity leave. Whatever NIS brings to the table, you do not have that, because you have not made your lawful and legal contribution. So this is the type of work that this current administration is trying to normalize in this country, right? And it is very, very frightening. Junior, I was having a conversation with somebody about this recently, and they said to me, this is destroying the economy. They say it's even destroying banks and causing banks to close down. I say, how is that? They say, listen, guys, if you have the overwhelming number of people in this country, and this is what we see that with the Imani program and all these other things, or on basic contract work, low wages, the banks make their money on loans.
Right.
Yes. These people cannot access proper loans, significant loans. Right? So the majority of our country and the schools are churning out people by the thousands on a yearly basis, and they go in and get this type of work. What do you think is going to happen to the banks? So they were saying the banks in some places in the rural areas, they are closing down, because more and more of our citizens cannot access loans. More and more of our citizens have very low paying jobs. And this is a cycle that we are seeing in this country. And it concerns me, because you look at probably labor force surveys and so forth, and then they will tell you unemployment is at this particular level. What do you think? They include Imanis and trainees and so forth to minimize the percentage of the unemployment. But when it comes down to other interpretations, these people are not counted as workers, they are counted as trainees. So it's just convenience interpretation. So to make a long story short, Junior, this is of major concern to us, because it affects our organization. It affects other key institutions like the national insurance schemes. It affects banks, and it affects the lives of our young people coming up in this country. So you might hear me talking about it over and over, but it's that important to our future here in Grenada.
Bless has a question there, and it's pinned on the screen. She asked, the person is asking, my question is workers under contract, do they get pension or entitled to any kind of pension?
Well, I failed to mention this when I was speaking of it, but because there are so many negatives, there are so many disadvantages. But to your guest, that's a great question. The answer to that question is an overwhelming no, right? And this is one of the reasons again. So you hear all sorts of things. You hear about the IMF and the World Bank, and this is what they are calling for. And then it seems as though these organizations takes precedent over our people. So when the government multiplies contract work within our public service, it minimizes the amount of pension that they have to pay. And it further disempowers our workers and our citizens. So this is our next tactic. So I spoke of one tactic before, the contract for service. They ain't paying NIS, so they hold that money in their pocket there. They no longer, when they put you on contract, it makes it easier for them to victimize you. Oh, so you're going to do this, you're going to do that. You're joining with the union here, you're joining with the union there. We will not renew your contract. There is currently a culture and an aura of fear within the public service. Workers are afraid to even speak out on minor issues. Workers are afraid to utilize their constitutional rights for freedom of expression. And just because of this contract work. And it seems as though some feel beholden to whatever organization is there to do their bidding, right or wrong, based on the fact, well, if I had to get my contract renewed, I have to do their bidding, I have to go to this function, I have to not speak out against a particular wrong. And it to me, it emasculates our citizens, our society, our workers, and just this takes away the pride of being a Grenadian. Because I know we were once a proud people, but now I think a lot of our workforce in the public service has been beaten into submission, and that has been done, unfortunately, by those we elect to serve us.
So how do a contract worker get a loan, for instance, or get any kind of financing? Say a contract worker wants to buy a car or do improvement on their homes, right? And they have this contract. Could they go to the bank and present and try to get some kind of mortgage or any kind of assistance from the bank with a contract?
Let me tell you this. Not really. No. The answer is no. And when we brought this before this current government, we said to them, listen, our people cannot, become, have social mobility, have upward mobility. They cannot access loans to get land, and it's so expensive. Land is so expensive in our country. I'm not even talking about vehicles, because it can be debated whether or not it's a necessity, but house and land is extremely important for people's development and who wants to start a family and so forth. And they said, no, don't worry. They can access the loans. But the fact is, when these workers go out there, the institutions turn them back. It's like, where are you going to that? You want a 10-year loan and you're there on a 2-year contract? Are you serious? You want a mortgage for 15 to 20 years and you're on a 2-year contract tentatively? You're joking with this. So recently, the government, having acknowledged that what they are saying is rubbish regarding contract workers being able to access loans, they did something. They partnered with the Grenada Development Bank, which is a bank very close to the administration, based on just how things work. The GDB and the government has a lot of things doing together. And they said, listen, contract workers will be able to access loans up to, I think it's $350,000 to get lands and so forth. But the intel that we are getting regarding this, it is an extremely difficult task in terms of the requirements and so forth. And many of the workers who tried to access the loans, they were rejected. Some people who were clever or who tried to be innovative, I think they got their partner on board, who possibly maybe is a contract worker, and they sort of double up. But generally, this is it's like putting a plaster on a bullet wound, so everything is temporary measure. And Junior, I want to go further into this to tell you the dangers of where we are within our society. So I heard the Minister of Finance, Mr. Gregory Boyd, a very, very long-serving parliamentarian, went on the political platform and brazenly said, listen, we have a mandate from the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank to make sure that the public service is reduced. And one of the ways is contract work. So you're not putting people on a permanent establishment, so that they are not necessarily recognized as workers within the public service. And so any public officer with hopes and aspirations for permanency should know that those who operate within this administration have a specific policy to keep you in the situation that you are currently in, right? So this must be recognized. So I was wondering, Junior, why is it that when the unions came forward and said, for example, I'm honing in on a particular area, the health sector, Do not contract the nurses, because this is a profession. This is something serious. This is you taking care of the people of the nation. You're supposed to have maximum staffing regarding that. The people are you putting them on 2-year contracts. They cannot uplift themselves in society. They will leave and go to greener pastures where they are respected and honored and paid a handsome wage, right? So we are saying that, and we say, well, this is a logical argument. Our administration, the government of Grenada, the NNP administration, must see that this is something the unions putting forward is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't listen. We are like, well, what's happening here? To compound the matter and to demonstrate our rightness in our arguments, the nurses start leaving in droves, all up to hundreds. The only thing that stopped it was the pandemic, whereby traveling was basically placed on a halt. And they still, up to this day, are not regularizing and making these people permanent, despite many spaces being there in the revenue of estimates and expenditure. And I was befuddled. I was, what is the matter? What is wrong? What they are seeing how it is harming our health sector and our country. They are seeing how it is hurting the nursing fraternity and the health sector in general. Why do they continue? And then voila, this was revealed to me. They have a pact with an international organization to reduce the public service, to destroy the public service as we know it. And to me, and this is my opinion now, I spoke facts before, but this is now my opinion. I believe strongly that they are trying to privatize the public service, which will make access to services in this country more expensive.
Guys, we're talking here with Brian Grimes, who is the president of the GPWU.
Yes, the Grenada Public Workers Union.
Public Workers Union. And this is as much your conversation as is mine. We're here to entertain questions from a lot of our viewers. We're going to open up the phone lines. In fact, I'm going to put the phone number up there, guys, so you could take it down and you could start to call in, because I know that there are so much questions from our viewers as well. And Brian Grimes, I thank you so much for sitting with us to kind of understand what's really happening from your perspective. We're speaking about contracts, and one other thing that I want to understand about the contract that is being given. What's the length and term of the contract? Is it annual contract? Is it 2-year contract? Could a contract be 10 years in length?
Yeah, well, I'm hearing about all these sorts of newfangled things where somebody suggests, well, we could put them on 5-year contract. Who goes on a 5-year contract? If you're working 5 years in an establishment, you're permanent. But I explained it before, but there are people who came in late, and I want to explain it again. The type of contract that is being given. Originally, they started off with contract off service, right? Mm-hmm. And we, like I said, we are not in love with that at the union, but we work with it a little bit. So that's like basically 2-year contracts. Government make sure that the workers pay the union dues, so we get those remittances, and they also pay the NIS and so forth for these people, so that they can get the benefits if they fall sick, if they go on maternity, things of that nature. If they get injured on the job, all the benefits that NIS provides. And this was it. And it just, the type of contract is just becoming more regressive, more nefarious, and more harmful to the worker. So now they tell them forget union dues. So right now they can victimize them at will, because they don't, in their minds, have a union to protect them. And we have seen that is what's happening in the public service. And very soon we'll have a conversation with some of our health sector workers on the challenges they are facing and all the things that are being done to them within the health sector. So it's just getting worse and worse in terms of the type of contract, like I said. And it is destroying, I'm not speaking here, Junior, from the perspective selfishly of a union leader and just my organization. I want you to ask yourself this question. Uh-huh. What benefit is it to Grenadians to be engaged with this type of employment, low wage with it? You're not getting NIS benefits. You're not getting union representation. Uh-huh. Where do you go? This is why so many youths feel lost. We have Imanis. We have Imanis working 8 years. People who have left the education system with 8 and 10 subjects went into the Imani program with supreme hope. And then They're just stuck in that. And the reason I'm so passionate about it, some people wonder, well, Grimes, how are you so passionate about this? Is because I experienced something similar as a public officer. I started off my career in the public service as a customs officer.
Yes.
And I was, I was excited, I was happy, and I was happy all up to the end of my career as a custom officer when but that's another story.
Yeah.
That's another story. I was happy about it. Being a custom officer when I was in school, that was a dream of mine to basically work on the port and in these areas and so forth. We all have aspirations. And then 1 year passed, 2 year passed. You see the men and women around you work with, you do the same job. They are donning their uniforms and they are getting promoted, and you just sit there. And it took me 9 years, Junior George, 9 years to get a permanent position. And you know who helped me? Sister Madonna Harford, a former president, a regal queen, a former president of the Grenada Public Workers Union. And this is where I fell in love with the union and realized it is an instrument to empower people. So I understand the pain of working years, doing your best, showing out, showing your talents, and people just, Junior, I was, at times, I 5-6 years in my career, as a custom officer, I had to go to the bank, and then you go by the teller, and you present your slip with $800, and you're working in the customs, and the people looking at you like, what's going on there? It's not good for the self-esteem of our young workers who are educated and so forth. So this is why I'm so passionate about contract work. And my situation, to be honest, was more of an anomaly and not a norm. But what is frightening is that this is being normalized in Grenada, Carriacou, Petite Martinique in 2022.
Wow. Guys, we're chatting here with Brian Grimes, who's the president of the GPWU. We have a caller on the line. Let's jump to the call right now. Caller live, where are you calling us from?
Calling from Barbados. Calling from Barbados. Mr. Grimes, good afternoon. A pleasant good afternoon. Junior, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon.
I am well. Brother. I am well. Good. I want to start off by commending Mr. Grimes for the exceptional work he's doing as the president of the Public Workers Union. And I share the same concerns as everyone else who's listening to the program, especially knowing the literature of the law, the Employment Act, as it speaks to contractual work and permanency. Now, under Section 29(5), persons who are working in institutions, persons who are needed in the institutions, their positions are needed for the institution to function or to be permanent. Now, it is very disturbing that in Grenada, in institutions such as the hospital and so forth, places that cannot function without nurses and doctors and police officers and so forth, we have persons on contract. But what is more disturbing, Junior and Mr. Grimes, is the fact that the law says it all. So in my opinion, these layouts of contract work are illegal. They are controversial to the law. And to have Mr. Andre Lewis, the president of TAWU, sitting in our parliament building as the Labour senator for such a very long time and having the continuance of this illegal action, it is very disturbing. It is very disturbing to see this is what is happening.
Right.
It is also disturbing to see that we have a bar association that is to protect the laws of the country and the people of the country when the government does it wrong, which they normally do get it wrong. It is very disturbing also to know that the main opposition party, knowing that the law is the law, are only making promises of correcting this wrongdoing, these ills of society when they get into power. Right. It is very shocking indeed. And Mr. Grimes, please keep up the good work. and keep educating the people in Grenada.
Thank you so much, caller.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, caller. I would just like to say I'm very appreciative of the kind words of the caller, but I do not necessarily endorse the fact that he's calling out the TUC president. The TUC president is one man, Mr. Andre Lewis. I learned a lot under the wings of Mr. Andre Lewis, Comrade Andre Lewis, and I continue to learn. None of us are perfect as trade union leaders, and I would not besmirch his name in this. He is only one man in what I think is an increasingly corrupt system where the administration is continually doing things that is in disadvantageous to our workers in this country. So some of the things are happening here. One man cannot do it. This is why Grenada needs to stand up and make their voices heard. Let me choose my word carefully. Make their voices heard in relation to reversing some of the negatives and moving towards an era where our country sees some transformation and sees some elevation of its people, and not just the books for the IMF to look at and give correct and say A+.
Yeah, again, guys, give me the opportunity to chat here live with Brian Grimes. The phone number that you call is 718-701-5720. That's 718-701-5720. You could call her directly on the phone lines, or you could also call on the WhatsApp. If you're calling from overseas, you could call us on the WhatsApp. We'll also be able to bring your call live on air as well. You know, it's hard to understand this, right, Grimes? We're talking about nurses, talking about these type of workers, nurses, essential, this type of essential workers. There are workers right now on contract that are nurses.
Junior, come on, man. Come on, bro. This is what is going on in this country. This is why I was so amazed. I was like, why is the administration so tone deaf? I mean, talking about nurses, but it's throughout the public service. All workers are important, but we honing in on nurses because we just came out of a pandemic, and we saw their importance, right? Junior, because of their contract status, they were not even given the honor of getting a 4% increase that some of the permanent public officers got. And the administration, the parliamentarians who are doubling down on this policy ensured that the 4% was added to their salary along with all the gas bonuses and all the telephone allowances and all the traveling allowances that they get. I think this is a wicked act. I think this is an unfortunate act, and this is an assault on our country and our democracy to be handling our nurses in such a manner. And this is why I will continue to speak out as long as I have life, as long as I have health and strength. This cannot be right on any level. Junior, can you justify this? Can this be justified from the position of policy making? I want somebody to justify this for me.
Now, well, I would like to, I mean, we have our open door policy, as we tell everyone, we have an open door policy here for both sides to come on and state their point. I would love to hear the perspective of government as to the advantage for the country, not the advantage of any government in power, but the advantage of the country of having workers, well, so many workers, especially frontline workers like nurses. I think nurses have proven themselves over this pandemic to be so essential. Praises, you know, I would like to hear the rationale behind keeping them.
There is not supposed to be one nurse on contract. They are all supposed to be permanent as long as they are performing, not just permanent for permanent, but as long as they are performing and giving good service, make them permanent, give them encouragement. Create a retention policy that they do not want to go away. Treat them well so that young ladies or whoever wants to get into the fraternity will see, well, there is a career there. I serve my nation, I serve my people, I get good treatment, I am respected by the authorities and the people of the nation, and at the end of it, I secure a pension while I go into my golden years. What is wrong with that?
You will see nurses picking up and going overseas. You will see that because they're not, I mean, the nurses are so essential right now because I have someone I know about the essential need of nurses, especially travel nurses in the United States and Canada, and they paid so well. Even folks that don't even have the CNA, which is not even nurses, levels down from nurses, they need them in Canada and the United States so much. So if they're seeing these greener pastures out there and they're sitting here with a contract, why would they stay? Why would they even stay here under these conditions?
And the strange thing is, when they go out there, they are awarded and they are elevated because for whatever reason we have great nurses in this country. But the best ones who know their value, and not those who remain, they are very loyal. But a lot of our good ones, they are leaving. And when they go to New Zealand, the UK, the United States, they are emulated and they are elevated. And I was looking at this picture on social media the other day, and one of them in one of the European countries was awarded for outstanding service. And I'm saying, look at that. That could be a person in Grenada being treated right. Because if they have to balance it, and I was listening to the post-cabinet press briefing recently, and they did what we call exit interview. So when they leave and they ask them some questions, and what was found out or what was discovered was that salaries was not necessarily the most important thing. So they would prefer to stay here and serve as long as they have permanent status, right? And all the government has to do is not pay them $1 million a month, but just ensure that they are permanent, and they're still not doing that. Now you see, my brother, I can state for myself, if I fall sick, I have to go to the hospital. A loved one, we have to go to the hospital. But those who make the policies for this country, when they fall sick, they hop on a plane, they have their visas, they have their money, they have the money in the bank, and they fly out. Is that love for country? Is that patriotism? I want us to ask ourselves these questions.
Yeah. So, right. Someone put there, Natalia Ross saying that a travel nurse gets $175 per hour, US per hour. And it's probably, the grass is green.
I think I might need to change my career. It's not too late.
And the job is secure. The job is secure. I know even in CNA, they're taking care of people in their homes, and they are so essential. They're needed, and they're dictating the price. They're dictating the price.
Well,
that's going to add to the... Yes. Yes, so I was saying that would add to the brain drain of nurses. Yeah, so it's something that I think that any administration should look at very seriously, because it is a problem.
Junior, on top of this, my brother, sorry for interrupting, but I'm so passionate about this particular topic. To entice these nurses, the salary is amazing, but some of them, they refuse it still, you know. But to further entice them, these countries are providing headquarters and things for their families.
Right, yeah.
Their husband, their children, and they bring them up because it's natural for you to want to stay in your country and work. So this government is making it easy for our health system to get destroyed. And I hope the people of this country are taking notice of this and, encourage the government in whatever method that is possible. To pay attention to the health sector. It's not supposed to be one voice or two voice, or Brian Grimes crying out in the wilderness, or a next member of my organization crying out in the wilderness, or Junior crying out in the wilderness. It's supposed to be a collective cry, and we are not supposed to put party over our people and our nation. And this is one of my fundamental principles as a citizen of this country.
Yeah. Recently, I saw you in the news, and you were speaking about an issue. I didn't know about it until I saw it. I think it was on GBN or one of those media outlets, and you were speaking about where some workers was paid. Monies went into their bank accounts for a particular reason. And you were speaking about it. I don't have the clip to play it back, but explain that to me. Did the government make...
I'm trying to recall.
Sorry?
I'm trying to recall it. Which one was that? Well, go ahead.
There was a story. Yeah, the story. I didn't have the clip to play it back, but I believe the story was that certain workers was paid, or some monies went into certain workers' bank accounts, and they just didn't know why. You don't recall the story?
Yeah, no. There is a. I think I know what you're speaking of, but it may not have been me. It may have been my sister in the union, Sister Daisy Hazard, speaking
Yes.
to this and the situation at the T.A. Marisho Community College.
Right.
They are
Okay.
outside protesting right now for wages. They are operating on 2012 salary, the Lone Tertiary Institution, and they are owed increments and so forth. So they went outside there, and as you well understand, they are represented by us, the bargaining agent, the Grenada Public Workers Union, and they are taking industrial action for this. And the authorities just saw it fit to just put a small amount of money, partial, small fraction of what they are owed, without even going through the professional and respectful process, not even respectful, legal process of consulting with their bargaining agent or whatever it is. So I didn't make much of it, even though it was extremely disrespectful because the workers got a fraction of what they are owed. But in principle, this just goes to show how the system treats our workers and is attempting to sort of bust the unions in Grenada, Carriacou, and PD Martinique. So I think it is in that context that was spoken of.
Okay, all right. So that was cleared up here. So the next thing, I'm hearing stuff on the platform, political platforms. I'm hearing that the Prime Minister speaking on recently and saying that they will pay the pension. And he spoke about some procedural ways in terms of how they'll go forward in paying the pension. Has the government engaged the union at this point to break down the process of engagement, of payment of pension, more than what we heard on the platform? Has that been something that the union have been engaged with by the government?
Junior, and to your listeners, the government of Grenada, in our view, is playing games with the lives of the members that we represent, and by extension, our citizens in the country. March 29th, we had a ruling, and it is fact that the government invited us to a meeting, but the meeting was hurriedly called, and we were advised by our attorneys not to go. We did not go, but we placed it on the table. These are the parameters for us to sit, right?
Right.
We did that, and going forward, after that, during the month of May, the judgment was in March. During the month of May, our lawyers had some correspondence with government. In fact, we met with the IMF based on the encouragement of said government, but they have not engaged us anymore. What they have done, in the first instance when the judgment came out, was go on platforms, go around Grenada, whatever medium, and shout to the mountaintops. The public officers are trying to destroy this country. The public officers do not care about you. If we pay the pension, there will be no more debushing. If we pay the pension, there will be no more traffic wardens. If we pay the pension, the International Monetary Fund will turn their back on us and our country will sink to the bottom of the deep blue sea. And in that same vein, my brother, in that same vein, just a couple of weeks ago, be mindful of it. These same parliamentarians got about $75,000 to $80,000 in gratuity, which is a part of the pension scheme for their own selves, because their pension is assured based on what they set up in 1989. The NNP administration did that so that they can get a pension and gratuity after 8 years and start collecting pension after 50. 2 terms, and when they are 55 years old. Right. So it hurts me, Junior, and it hurts other people, because I have seen people protesting for their pension and died and closed their eyes and have gone to the great beyond and have not received a justified pension. It hurts me as a trade union leader when what my mother picks up the phone and say, Brother Grimes, what can you do for me? On the verge of tears they are, and say, I may have to go to the SEED program after serving almost 30 years in this nation. You have intelligent men, you have men of credibility and integrity such as Richard Duncan speaking to the tremendous benefits of paying pension and how it will serve our country, how it will empower our people. And those who sit in the corridors of power are doing all in their power to ensure that Grenadians continue to stay poor after serving the nation. Is that right? I don't think so.
You know, there are so much issues on conversation right now on this whole pension and gratuity situation. Do you think that is now being politicized, and governments are just using it as a can, they're kicking down the road and see how far they could kick it down the road and then deal with it in whatever perspective time? Is it now a politicized agenda item policy?
Junior, I don't think so. Junior, I know so. I know so. Junior, I have some level of experience with these things. And in 2018, and that's just the other day, I'm not pretending to be old or this veteran, it's just the other day, 2018. Do you remember in 2018 when former celebrated trade unionists went on platforms promising our public officers that they would get their pension and bigging up the NNPA administration as the ones that has done it and the others have done nothing? Do you remember the MOU, the infamous MOU that was signed days before the election was called? And then after that, the terms and conditions of it was basically reneged upon. The workers taken to the street in 2018, and then their salaries docked in the heart of Christmas. Do you remember this?
Yes, I remember.
Okay, good. I also remember because my salary was docked and I was in the midst of it. At that time, I was a public relations officer. Now I'm president. It is my duty as leader of the organization to inform and educate my members and protect them from the claws of political chicanery and trickery. So I must have stated to them, listen, this is what is happening here. You are hearing promises on political platforms, but we have not received any correspondence stating anything like that. I just stated to you earlier, Junior, our lawyers wrote, Mr. James Bristol wrote on 3 occasions, right? As far as I know, I have evidence of that. Asking for payment, asking for the numbers. Imagine the government gave the IMF the numbers as far as the liability, who are owed, how much is owed to the IMF, and they have not given it to the unions even after we requested. Is that good faith? Is that a desire to be collaborative with the union and with the workers in this country? I would say no, and it's evident for anybody who have an objective mind, no. So the bottom line is this: you ask a question, is this played like political football? This is a fact. Your analysis is on point. We have seen the formation of what we call a pension committee with high-powered, I think one lady and a few gentlemen who are celebrated in their particular fields on that pension committee. Everybody there is well off, and they have to decide the fate of poor working class Grenadians. And why should that happen? Why should that happen? So they say 3 months down the road. Guess what? The 3 months down the road is after elections. I remember 2018. That's where I leave it.
Got a call on the line. Let's jump to that caller on the phone line right now. Caller, let me put your volume up. 1 second, caller. 1 second. Hold on, let me fix that caller audio. Stand by. Caller, go right ahead. You're live. Where are you calling us from?
Yes, Brother Junior. Am I on?
Yes, you're on.
Yeah. Well, this is Big Time Mr. Pope here, sir.
Big Time Mr. Pope.
And I'm sitting right here in Brooklyn, New York.
Yes, sir.
And I'm very, listen. And congratulations to the brother, Brother Grimes is your name, sir?
Yeah, Brian Grimes.
Yes, well, congratulations to you, sir. And I wish you all the best because you are fighting against the forces. And the game is, the more Imani they have, is the more votes they will continue getting. Because I never heard in none of the speeches the man says that because of the pension, so and so high-ranking public official would not get paid or what. All he's saying is about the money wouldn't get this no more and this wouldn't happen and so forth. You see? But it's really a shame. But don't give up the struggle, my brother.
No.
Don't give up the struggle. It is a hard thing. And I don't know how we're going to end or what. But please don't give up. But I'm looking because I'm eagerly to know what's going on in Grenada. Although some people post things, but that's their opinion about you not living in Grenada. But yet for all, or they're not into politics. But that's not my business. I'm not into politics too directly. But everything we do, politics is included in it. The air we breathe, the politician decide that.
Thank you.
You see?
Thank
So
you.
don't give up the struggle, my brother. And Brother Junior, your program is very, very informative. The only thing I didn't like, what I don't want to change the subject too much, is about this guy from Jamaica there. And but anyway, that's another topic by itself.
Yeah.
So keep on the struggle, Brother Grimes, if I'm pronouncing it correct.
Yes.
And Brother Junior,
Yes.
you are doing a very good job, sir. Good service to us, the people.
Thank you so much, Carl.
Thank you, sir.
We appreciate you.
All the best.
The phone lines are wide open, 718-701-5720. You could call in via the WhatsApp, or you could call in via the direct phone lines if you want to lend your voice on this topic. Brian Grimes, you wanted to respond to the call?
Yeah, I wanted to respond to that. I truly appreciate the kind words of the caller and the encouragement. But giving up is not an option. I believe trade union leaders are called by God. I am a very spiritual person. And by that, I mean, if you have to speak for the voiceless, it is an honor and a privilege to be a servant leader. And giving up is not an option. I enjoy speaking the truth. One thing that guides me in terms of my public relations or speaking to the public or whatever matter in terms of relationships, I enjoy being honest, being direct, sticking to the facts and being objective in what I do. Some people say, well, stay out of the politics. As the caller said, that is almost an impossibility. And what needs to be understood by people observing the dynamics between politics and the trade union is that a lot of political parties have sprung from trade unions. One of the most famous political parties that is even trying to be resurrected by some now, I don't know how successful they will be, is the Grenada United Labour Party. The father of independence, Sir Eric Gairy, he was a trade unionist. And his trade union formed, metamorphosized into a political party. So the point is, they are basically cousins. They are basically brother and sister. And when I speak about politics, it is because the policies of the politicians influence the lives and the situations and the working situation and the environment of those that we represent. So it is something that is inextricably linked, and we cannot get away from it, right? Before we go on to the next caller, I have stayed away from telling people, well, who to vote for or who not to vote for, because I respect the fact, Junior, that many of my constituents are either New National Party supporters or National Democratic Congress supporters, or maybe even GOLP or possibly TGM. So I stay away from that. But what I give to them, what I feed them, is the truth as I see it as a leader of this organization. So the politics part of it, I will continue to speak the truth and lead the workers in the right direction and tell them the challenges that we are experiencing, tell them just sort of prod them in terms of which direction to go, but not telling them exactly what to do, because we are all free human beings at the end of the day. I'm going to say that I believe in 2008 thereabout, a trade unionist, a former trade unionist, you might see him on platforms now, actually, with the assistance of the Grenada Trade Union Council, took a political position to back a certain party based on the tribulations and the sufforations of public officers and workers in the country generally. But since that time, we have not seen such a bold move. Maybe going forward, trade unions have to take a side when they realize the workers are being assaulted by the system.
Well, recently we saw you posted on June 4th. You posted
Check your dates, Junior.
Somewhat people would say, it sounds like a rebuke of a political party, and some in this polarized state that we're in, rebuking one means supporting the next. You asked 20 profound questions, or 20 questions here, and a lot of people push back and say, well, why Brian Grimes is being so political? Why is he taking a political position when he represents workers that are either on one side or the other? What was your reasoning behind these questions that look like a questions of rebuke to a political party?
Well, as a trade union leader, I have come to realize that politics is an inescapable reality of leadership within my organization. In fact, within any trade union, you must delve into it because the policymakers affect the lives of our membership and our clients.
Right.
Now, if you looked at, I want to just put something on the table here for people to understand how my mind works. I am not a loyalist to any political party in this country. I believe my allegiance is to my personal principles. And with that, I stay safe because I will not be disappointed by any political party. My role and my duty is to speak the truth to our membership, to educate our membership. My post, it seems as though a lot of people looked at it, asked questions. And if you read my post and you read those questions, you can extract a lot of meat, a lot of fact from it in terms of what we have experienced as trade union, as workers in this country over the past 10 years. And I just put that out there for consideration for those who want to know, well, as far as our membership, which direction should I go in terms of giving an endorsement to those who I want to represent my interests. So it was not necessarily a political post, but one of education and edification for my members and maybe general Grenadians to consider going forward. And I have no problem in doing that.
Right. So it wasn't necessarily an endorsement. It's not Brian Grimes endorsing any political party.
It is Brian Grimes speaking the truth as he sees it and telling our workers, listen, this is what you experience. Do you want to experience more of this, or do you want potential change? This is what that post was about.
Okay, in the lines of endorsement. Hey, is there precedence in terms of union? And I know you say it's an inescapable fact of leadership, but is there precedence in terms of presidents or union head supporting and publicly advocating or endorsing political parties?
Yeah. Well, I sort of just hinted to it, Junior. For me, for example, the Grenada Public Workers Union, I sit on a board of 13 people. And when I come out here and speak on labor matters, it's matters that are recurring and they know my position. On my board, I am absolutely 100% sure there are people that have different political opinions. So we have not sat and said, listen, we're going to take this position and we're going to back this particular political party. We have not done that. So I will not be responsible because I'm a team player and go out there and say, well, back this party or don't back this party or whatever it is. So I have not done that. But I have a responsibility as a leader to disseminate the truth, like I stated before. I also stated that in 2008, a trade union leader, Chester Humphrey, I believe his name is, took a position to rail against the new National Party administration based on certain things that were happening in the country. But based on my historical analysis, this was done from a perspective from the level of the Trade Union Council, which is the umbrella body in the country, and there was consultation among the membership before this decision was taken wholly and solely. And you can see the labor movement is a very, very powerful movement because this drove the way people voted because it's bread and butter issues, and it assisted in the changing and the changing of our government. So that was the only time, as far as I know, in recent history, where this was done.
Right. Hey, Brian, listen, I really appreciate you coming on and speaking, facing the fire, facing the world here, because it's not easy. A lot of people, push back and
Junior
come in.
speaking, Junior speaking the truth is not hard for me. I enjoy speaking the truth.
Yeah. But your back had to be broad, because people come for you. You know that. People come for you, and to come and stand firm and stand strong and represent. I really want to applaud you for not backing down, and standing strong and not being afraid to speak your mind. However you feel, whether you're this way or that way. Some people are very timid, and you prove that you're not. And then kudos to anyone who stand up strong and stand up firm. And we appreciate you taking the time to chat with us, brother. And a closing note. What? No, I'm not going to ask you that question. Forget that question. I'm not going to ask you that question. Nah.
You can ask me off air.
I'm going to ask you that, my brother. Okay. Don't worry about it. Any last words? Any closing words, my friend?
Yeah, well, I just want to thank you profoundly for giving me a place on your platform that has so many viewers and listeners across the global spectrum. I really enjoy that. I like to give praise to God for giving me health and strength in order to be able to speak and work and act on behalf of our membership, who I'm humbled to represent as a servant leader. And I just want to tell my membership in particular to hold strain. You have a leader who continues to work for you, who takes pride in working for you. And, going forward, just expect more and more work from me in terms of representing your views, representing your interests, and by extension, trying to develop Grenada, Carriacou, and PD Martinique. So thanks to all your viewers, your listeners, and special thank you for bringing me on your program.
Absolutely, Brian. Appreciate you, my friend, and stay strong.
All right.
We go knock a glass, man. I'm here for a little bit still. We go knock a glass, and soon. Hey guys, we're gonna open up the phone and just for a little longer. If you want to call in to chat with me, and just let me know what you think. What your thoughts are. What are your thoughts on the union? What's your thoughts on the contract workers? What's your thoughts on everything that you heard here today? All right, give us a call. We're gonna stay on for another 5 minutes or so. All right, 718-701-5720. While we wait on that call, let me just say that Right Along Live is brought to you with the kind compliments of the 3rd annual Miss Caribbean USA Summer Body Pageant. That takes place on June 26, guys. June 26. And there's so much happening at that event. Of course, we have Alma Boy, Mr. Killer, Dennis Belfont, Mr. Legs, Keisha Martin, and of course, there are so many women, beautiful women, who will be vying for the title of Miss Caribbean USA Summer Body from Grenada, Trinidad, Barbados, Jamaica. This event goes down at the American Legion Hall. It's at 1130 East 92nd Street in Brooklyn, New York. All right, for ticket and more information, of course, you can contact 929-527-5660. WhatsApp, all right, only. So talk to me, guys. Let me know what you think on the session, on the conversation here today. Do you have a better understanding as to contract versus permanent workers? And for those of you who are on contract, we also want to hear your real life story as well, right? How is it going in and getting a mortgage for you? How does it work for you? All right, let us know. You could always inbox us and share your story. We got a call on the line. Call on the WhatsApp. Go right ahead.
Hello.
Hey, caller, go right ahead.
Yeah, Junior. I was listening to Grimes just now, and the first time I really believe guys who had problem with him. Now, my wife taught for 38 long years. She has retired about over 5 years ago, and she's still waiting in the government for her gratuity. Still waiting. I mean, this is so ridiculous. So I say to Grimes, keep up the pressure.
Right.
Things go work. Keep up the pressure.
Yes.
You know, after 38 long years, man, it's so ridiculous. You know?
Yes. Yes.
All right, man. Keep up the good work.
Thank
Keep
you,
up the good
caller.
work.
Appreciate you. 718-701-5720. That's 718-701-5720. Conversation here with Mr. Grimes. What's your thoughts on what was discussed here today? What's your thoughts on what was discussed? You could call us on direct phone line, or you could call us on WhatsApp. The number again, 718-701-5720. I was speaking earlier about the workers who are on contract, and tell us about the difficulties, the problems, the issues that you have when you're going into the bank, right? What kind of issues are you facing? I think we know it already, but we'll still like to hear some real life stories from you as well. So you could always inbox us or WhatsApp us and share your story with the world. Again, guys, I'm taking two more calls. Right? Two more calls. Want to get your view on what your thoughts are on the program here today. Also, let me say that on Thursday, next Thursday, 23rd, June 23rd, the big day, election day. Yeah, the big election day, guys. Right along, we'll be bringing wall-to-wall coverage of election 2022. Right? We're going to have teams all over Grenada, in the trade center, at the campaign offices, all over Grenada, giving you up to date. And as soon as there are projections on election night, you will see it first. You will see it fast right here on Ride Along Live. Yes, it's election night in Grenada. Right here and Ride Along Live. We have a list of sponsors, guys, who's going to be bringing it to you. It's going to be a massive event. Nobody else, no matter who, is going to have the type of coverage that Ride Along will have on election night. I'm looking for the flyer to show it to you guys if you haven't seen it yet. Election night in Grenada is going to be massive. And this is where you're going to be watching all the results. All the projections are going to be coming in, and we are going to be bringing it first and fast. Right Along Live. Yeah. Nobody bring it fast like us. It just can't. It just won't happen. It just won't happen. Still open up the phone lines for your call and your thoughts. This is the elections night in Grenada, guys. The official elections night in Grenada. Live here on Ride Along Live. It's going to be big. Just, guys, if you're not following the page yet, I want you to follow it now. If you have a business and you want to advertise and you want to reach the millions of people that will be tuned in to watch this broadcast, contact our sales and marketing department now. It's election night in Grenada. Broadcast going to be starting at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Way before the polls close, we have team coverage, journalists, analysts, panelists in studio here and all over Grenada, bringing it to you live. It's election night in Grenada. Ride Along Live, June 23rd, starting at 3 p.m. Of course, we're going to have our exit polling. We're going to have our projection. Man, it's going to be really big, guys. It's going to be really big. Again, we're reaching out to the sponsors. If you want to advertise during our election night in Grenada, call our sales and marketing team right now to be a part of this massive program. All right, guys, I'm still here in Grenada and enjoying all the beauties and mosquito bites. You see, if you see me fanning and ducking and stuff like that, mosquito are trying to escape. I'm still here in Grenada. I will be here up until election day to give you everything that's happening from now up until election. All right. All right, guys. Thanks again. It's my pleasure bringing it to you on behalf of all our team here at Ride Along. Our senior executive producer, Lois JJ, give her a hand. She is amazing, awesome. Gail Charles, our moderator. Kibbs, Deanne Fraser, our moderator. And of course, in studio back in New York City, Jacoby, how you doing over there in New York, my boy? Thank you so much. Team Ride Along. Catch you guys again tomorrow, Ride Along Live, where everyone has a story to tell.
Chicks Export Limited, Toronto, Canada. Shipping barrels and other cargo to Grenada in 3 weeks, including custom clearing and home delivery to anywhere in Grenada. They source, purchase, and ship new and used anything. Call or WhatsApp Eric, aka Greens, on 416-569-9755. That's 416-569-9755. Check us out on Facebook at Green Chicks Export or email us at greenchicksexport@gmail.com.
Williams Funeral Service serve you with dignity and compassion as you mourn. Every day, we embark on the journey of life, and one day, the journey will end. It's on that day that you can entrust the celebration of life of your loved ones to David Williams Funeral Service. Call 718-291-3823.
It's hard to imagine this is how 2020 started. But across the world, dozens were falling ill with a mysterious virus that would ultimately change life as we know it. Chinese health authorities are still working to identify the
The COVID-19 pandemic is now casting doubt over the 2021
As soon as it gets open, I can. 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 I'm tired, see home and need out.
Why you talking the job must pay? All you understand, job must play.
Watch how the party turn up tonight. Because we out and bad and the people better we causing trouble. Trouble, trouble. Just watch how we causing trouble. Trouble, trouble.
You don't carry the fire that my ancestors have given to me. You merely adopted the job. I was born in it. This is job, religion, job, job, religion. This is job, religion, job, job, religion. This is job, religion, job, job, religion. This is job, religion, job, job, religion.
The following is a paid political advertisement from the National Democratic Congress.
Sisters and brothers, I ask you to hear me just on this point. Examine the team of the National Democratic Congress. You just examine them. Compare them one by one. And what you see is an experienced group of people ready to take this country forward.
I'm Deacon Mitchell, and I endorse this message.
From Right Along Live, keeping you updated with everything happening in your world, from breaking news, election coverage, and a whole lot more. Now, do you have a business that you would like to market or advertise right here on our platform? Then give us a call at 718-701-5720 or inbox us right here on Right Along Live. Take your business to the next level. I'm Junior George from Right Along Live. Well, it's on Right Along, so it's happening here.
Came over here. What does it mean? You know, I grew up in what I guess you call a typical family.
We break all the stories, and that's just a fact. And that's why everyone has a story to tell. Right Along Live, I mean, yeah, it's the real deal.